My name is Craig Stunkel. I actually grew up here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and went to high school here before I came to OSU. I was born in late 1959 in Abilene, Texas on an Air Force base, but almost all of my childhood after that was spent in Stillwater. Growing up in Stillwater, I went to Westwood School. I actually lived on South Kings Highway at the time, would walk to school every morning from around 12th Street to 6th Street. Wonderful classmates. I always loved that experience at Westwood. Went on to, of course, what became the middle school at that time and the high school. Growing up, I played lots of sports, all the usual, I played baseball, football, basketball, even tried wrestling one year. Played the violin one year and then played trombone for many years, actually, until about midway through high school. Ended up being a conflict between that and basketball practice, and I made the choice on basketball. My mom and dad are Norman and Barbara Stunkel, and they're still here living in Stillwater. My wife, Susan, grew up in Stillwater also, and in fact, we first met each other as early as second grade. We had a class at Westwood in second grade, and so I knew her for quite a few years and thought she was quite an amazing girl, but I didn't ask her out until I was a junior in high school. But the rest is history. We dated all through college and got married after college. We both went to Oklahoma State. Yeah, so when I was thinking about colleges, I already had very fond idea of what OSU might be like just from being up on campus a lot, being a local resident, going to sporting events, that sort of thing. I can remember going to wrestling matches as early as maybe when I was 5 or 6 years old because Oklahoma State was so amazing in that sport. Yeah, I'd always in my back of my mind thinking I wanted to go to OSU. I also knew they had a good engineering program. I really liked the philosophy I learned about with their engineering program is that they wanted their engineers to get a broad base. So even if you went into, say, electrical engineering, they wanted you to understand something about civil engineering, about mechanical, about chemical, that sort of thing. And I felt like that broad base appealed to me as well. When I came to OSU, I probably bit off more than I could chew, but I wanted to give it a shot. I had been a good high school basketball player, but not amazing. But I did walk onto the team. The coaches actually asked a couple of us from the high school, would we walk on to the team? They probably thought, that's good to have some more people, in practice. But about midway through my freshman year, I ended up getting a scholarship out of it, which was a lot of fun. And so for 3.5 years, I was actually a scholarship, athlete on the varsity team. That was a fantastic experience. I'd never even been on a plane before I came to campus, and suddenly I was seeing all these places all over the United States that I'd only heard about. That was wonderful. But besides that, one of the other things I decided to bite off was joining a fraternity. I joined the Sigma Nu fraternity, which is right on the south side of campus. And again, a wonderful group of people, friends I'll have for life there. But above all that, I liked math and science so much. My highest priority really was doing well at engineering and getting that degree and learning as much as I could about electrical engineering and computer engineering. I had an idea that I might want to help design computers at some point. And so that was always my highest priority. And I made sure to always get all the homework done and would even help classmates and that sort of thing along the way. Susan always likes to remind me too, another reason I may have gone to OSU is because that's where she wanted to go. So that was definitely a big draw. I stayed here, after getting a bachelor's, I actually stayed here for master's. And my job was actually running the first computer system that we had in EE. It was up on the 4th floor. It was a DEC VAX 750 for those who can remember back what that means. It was a digital mini computer, one of the early ones of the day. And so that was fun learning how to operate a big computer. And then after I got my master's, was interviewing around and decided I really wanted to go into computer design. And so the first place I decided to go, there was a location up in Rochester, Minnesota, where IBM was designing mini computers. It was called System 38 at the time. And so went there for 3 years and learned a tremendous amount there about computers. But also in the back of my mind always was that I might want to go get a PhD and delve deeper into computer design and how I might, influence the industry in a greater way than I might otherwise be able to do. So after 3 years there, I was accepted at the University of Illinois into their electrical engineering program. And we packed up what were then, we had a 6-month-old daughter, Leanne, at that point, and headed to Champaign, Illinois, and spent 3.5 years there while I was doing my PhD. While we were there, our son, Kevin, was also born. But it was a wonderful experience at Illinois. I'd gone there thinking that I might go into this early field called artificial intelligence, which is, of course, everything you hear about right now. I took a couple of classes there early in that field and decided this wasn't going in anywhere yet. We just, they just didn't know enough. There wasn't enough compute power even to do the things they would want to do. And about that time, I took another class in a new area also called parallel computing, which University of Illinois was a pioneer in, where you gang lots of computers together to cooperate on solving a problem. And this just totally fascinated me. And I had taken the course from one of the leading researchers in the field named Dan Reed, who is still a widely known name in the field. And that fascinated me, and that kind of changed my whole mindset about where I might go with my PhD studies. And I ended up doing my project on something related to parallel computing. I graduated from the University of Illinois in 1990, and I really had a big decision at that point, which was whether to go into academia with a PhD or go into industry. And I was very much hopping back and forth. I was interviewing at universities and a couple of places in industry. But the place that ended up attracting me the most was something that was a little bit of combination of both. It was a branch of IBM called IBM Research, where they heavily emphasized the academic aspects. They wanted you to publish, they wanted you to do research, that sort of thing. But they also wanted you to impact their future products. And that sounded very attractive to me. And they had a particular project in parallel computing that I said, oh, that's exactly what I want to try to influence. This IBM Research location is their main one, which is T.J. Watson Research Center in Yorktown Heights, New York, about 40 miles north of New York City. I remember going out there for the interview and driving around Westchester County, and Susan wasn't able to make the trip because we had our 2 little kids back in Champaign. And she said, so what's it like? And I said, well, I can tell you, but it's absolutely nothing like anything you've ever seen, so it wouldn't make any sense. You'll have to just come out here and see it. And so, it's a much different part of the country. Hilly, lots of trees everywhere. You're not far from New York City, so just everything was a little different. And it was, we ended up moving to Connecticut right on the other side of the border from where I worked, and spent 30 years there, loved every minute of my time at IBM Research. Our kids definitely, think of Connecticut as home, where they grew up. We very much enjoyed that time at IBM. As far as thinking about career achievements, I think they all are in the network, the high-speed network area. Whether it's trying to figure out how to make networks go faster, and there's 2 elements to faster. One is you're sending more and more data down a pipe faster, but another area is how fast can you get that data started? In other words, what we call that the latency. And so both of those are aspects that are important. And I probably worked more on how can we make it start faster, which is the latency part, and built some of the fastest networks in the world to do that. And another area is how can I tell, say, 100, we'll say people, or 100 computers, something, the same thing in the fastest time possible. And that's, sometimes you might hear the word broadcast. In other words, where everybody gets the same information at the same time. And that's actually a very hard problem. And I made some fundamental contributions there, and that's what I got recognized as an IEEE fellow for those contributions about a decade ago. So that was fun recognition. But yeah, all of my work really at IBM and after have been concentrated more on the network side than, say, the computer processor side. Outside of work, I've always loved to continue playing basketball, so it's not something where I felt like I wow, I did that, and now, it's something I've enjoyed playing, not trying to be at the highest level at all. In fact, but I've even played until I was 60 years old. And the only thing that stopped me then was the pandemic. I was playing with a group at IBM. We would play a couple of mornings a week at headquarters. As far as other, exercise, recreational kinds of activities, Susan and I just love to road bike these days. And we like it so much that during the winter, we're actually on bike trainers, if you know what that is, where you stick your bike on something where you're replacing your back wheel with a machine that's actually making it harder or easier for you depending on what you're wanting to do. Besides that, I do try to run regularly and try to run some with my kids as well, because I find that's a lot of fun. So as far as things outside work, they've tended to be more of those kinds of physical activities, as well as some reading here and there and that kind of thing. When I started work for NVIDIA, it was going to be a remote job. It turned out both of my kids ended up in St. Louis. And so I talked to NVIDIA and said, you really care where I live? Because I think I might want to move from Connecticut to St. Louis, at least for temporarily, because I'm going to have a grandkid soon. And they said, oh, we'll just move you there. So we said, oh, that's the answer, that we probably should do this. So we moved to St. Louis, and we've been having a lot of fun the last 3 years. And now we have 3 grandkids. We're just having a blast being around our kids and their families. So as far as the OSU Engineering Hall of Fame, I've always enjoyed reading the articles about what some of these amazing people have done, and thinking, wow, that's just incredible, the impact they've had on the industries. And this is all throughout engineering. Some amazing people have come through OSU. It's been always fun to see. Dr. Young, the head of EE, suggested that maybe I should apply. And I got one of my former directors at IBM Research to nominate me. He thought that would be a great idea. Yeah, I was just very happy, very even maybe a bit surprised that I got selected. I feel very fortunate. It's humbling to be a part of such an amazing group, and yeah, I'm very excited. Go Pokes!